Alrighty, hello, and welcome to the next lesson of Last Epoch University. And this one's a pretty big one because we just had patch 0.8.2 drop, and that brought the Monolith of Fate changes, and they are massive. And so if you're coming from a place where you knew how the endgame worked before, or if you're new to the game in general, this is still going to be worth your time to check out because, yeah, the changes are so significant that in a lot of ways it doesn't even look the same. In some ways it does, but the amount of coolness to it and the amount of depth has been significantly increased. So today we're going to go over what the Monolith of Fate is and how it works at kind of a base level, all the mechanics of it, so that when you enter it, you have a good idea of what you're doing and what you need to do to reach whatever goals you have, which can be quite a few now. There's a lot of things you can do in the Monolith of Fate that are rewarding. Okay, so here's the specific things we'll be talking about. We're talking about timelines, we'll be talking about echoes, we're talking about quests and quest rewards, talking about stability, we talk about corruption, and anything that goes with those things, which are most, if not everything, that you can do in the Monolith of Fate. So this should be pretty comprehensive. Let's start with timeline. So if you're a brand new player, you probably have no idea what a timeline is. So basically what this is when you get to the end game and you reach the end of time. Actually, whenever you reach the end of time, you can do this, but I suggest you wait and do more of the story before doing so. But when you reach the end of time, anytime you want to, you can go over to this guy here or this area here and enter the Monolith of Fate. And the Monolith of Fate is this thing right here, where once you enter, you will start the Fall of the Outcast, which is an island which starts a timeline. So if we enter here, we now pop over and we go right over to this island, which is that one right there, the Fall of the Outcast. And we click on this and we enter Fall of the Outcast timeline, which is this big web. It won't start that way. It'll look very small at the beginning, but that's what it'll eventually look like. And each timeline has its own web and its own quests, and you need to go through the web and build stability to unlock the quests. And when you finish the third quest, you'll then be able to unlock another timeline. And so you start the Fall of the Outcast, and you can choose from the Stolen Lance or the Black Sun. From there you can choose and continue to go up and up and up until you get to these last three on the right side, as high as you can go. And so you can unlock all of these timelines. Sometimes you'll have to run one, maybe twice, but you can unlock all of them, and they each again have their own web and their own quests and their own rewards. So you're going to want to do at least a large number of them. Did I miss anything here? Only need quests and bosses. Oh yes, they have static levels too. So the first one, Monolith of the Fall of the Outcasts, is level 55. Level 65, I think this one's level 60, so on and so forth. They get progressively higher in level as you go, so the content becomes progressively more challenging, but also more rewarding. Okay, so let's look at one individual. In fact, we can look at, we're at the Fall of the Outcast here, at what's going on here once you get in. So when you get in, you will start here at this this node, and you'll have several nodes around you. So in fact, in this one, I had this one, and this one that I could start from. I could start from any of these nodes, and I can go in whatever direction I want to. And each node gives timeline stability, which affects your quest. It gives a reward, and it adds a modifier. The modifier increases the difficulty of the enemies in some way. So this one in particular has high health enemies take 25% less damage. It also has rewards, which are increased item rarity and increased experience gained. The farther you go, the more challenging and longer the modifiers will last. So like for this one, it just lasts for one, but there's a 2 next to this one over here. Undead enemies have 25% increased damage and health. With a 2, that means it lasts for 2 echoes. So it'll count for this one and follow you to the next one. You go farther along, they last for longer. This one goes for 4 echoes. But also the rewards go for 4 echoes, so they stack on top of each other. So the modifiers will stack, but so will the rewards. So you can get more rewards going deeper and stacking more modifiers as you go. You also get more stability the deeper you go. So if your goal is to increase stability, which is what you need to unlock the quest echoes, Going farther in the monolith, particularly one direction, will be the fastest way to do so. But you might find that rewards in certain areas are more beneficial because not only do you stack the modifiers, but you also get a specific reward for each of these echoes, these maps. So this one, for example, is an arena key. This one here is piles of gold. Up here, we've got affixed shards. We've got tomes of experience. Some of these have specific loot. So this one's got rare staves. Let's see, what else we got for specific loot? There's rare scepters. All kinds of different things that you can go after. So there's all kinds of ways of target farming what you want, getting the kind of rewards that you're after, improving the power of your character, progressing through the timeline. You have a lot of flexibility in the way you want to approach it. There are also several different types of echoes. So your standard ones are the ones I'm showing you here, where you have like a map with an objective. And that map has that modifier that increases difficulty. It has the increased XP and item rarity. It gives you stability. Use that predetermined reward. Oh, by the way, if you die, you do lose the reward and the stability reward. So let's say, for example, I've actually got one here where I did die because I did it way too early. So this one here, it had a reward and it had stability, but I died. And so I lost the rewards and the stability. I can still complete this. I could run this so I can get to this over here, say, if I wanted to go in this direction, I can still do that, but I won't get the rewards anymore because I did die. So there is a small penalty on death in these echoes. And they also give a reward chest at the end. So when you finish it, you will end up back here. Actually, you're in a different zone. You're in a zone that's kind of like this. There's a reward chest on this side over here. Actually, let me run one. I'll just show you guys real quick what it looks like. We'll run one. It won't take long at all. Let's run this guy over here and show you how it works. This character is going to be overpowered for this, so I'm going to fly through it. Is this one to the left? Yeah, this one can go to the left. And we'll just fly to the objective. We have to slay a patrolling Imperial Watcher. We'll cover the different objectives too here in a little bit. Don't worry too much about that. Also, sorry for my frames on this. There's something going on with the new patch on some computers, not all, but it's causing us to have pretty bad performance. Hopefully it gets resolved pretty soon. All right, so there's my objective. He's trying to run away. He's not going to be able to. We kill him. Now I can leave. Open my portal. That was just you. No, there's definitely a performance issue hitting. So when you get to the this part here, which is when you've completed the echo, you have this reward chest here, which is random loot, and depending on your item rarity, will determine kind of how valuable the stuff inside of it is in general. And so we click on this and we get some loot here. If I turn off my loot filter, you can actually see I got a lot more loot than what showed there. So this is all the loot I got. Some money also dropped from there. And then this is the predetermined reward that I selected from doing that echo. I click on that, and it was glyphs that I chose, and so I got my glyph rewards as well. So I get the double reward, which is really cool. We can go back and we can continue to do more of these echoes and get more rewards and more stability as we go. There are also special echoes, which we'll cover more in detail in a few minutes. Those are beacons, vessels of memory, vessels of chaos, and shade of Orbis. And these actually interact with the map in some way, allow you to have more control over manipulating the map in a way that's beneficial or advantageous for you. Okay, let's cover what the echo objectives are for the standard one. So we just saw the patrol, which is one or more enemies on the map are patrolling around the map. We have to go find them and kill them. They tend to be more powerful than their standard versions. And once you've killed them, you're done. Then there's a mini boss one, which takes some sort of a boss type throughout the story and throws him onto the map, and then you got to go find him and then kill him. Pretty standard stuff that has been in the game for a long time. There's now arena echoes, which are literally just they throw you into a short arena. I think it's 12 to 17 waves. You just got to kill everything as it comes at you, and once you're done, you're good there. There's a spire system there. If you're not a former player, but a player who's played in the past, you'll remember the spires. They've been significantly buffed. There's a bunch of different spires now. So like there's a poison spire, There's a fire one, there's a necrotic one, and they all have different effects. So your job in this one is to go and destroy the spire or spires. There's up to 3 that you can have. And as you're doing that, they're trying to kill you. They're actually lobbing projectiles at you from afar. And so you've got to keep moving or else you'll get hit. And then the last one is time gates. If you played the forges or played before with the forges, it's the same thing. You just click on the time gate. You go find the time gate. It's somewhere on the map. You click on it, and it will start spawning some enemies. You just got to kill them all. Those are the current standard Echo objectives in the game. So let's talk about stability and quest echoes. So I mentioned that stability is connected to the quests, and it's actually the only thing stability currently does. So you need stability to unlock your quest echoes. And you can track how much you need both from here and from here. So this bar goes up as you add stability and tells you how much you have here, 128. You see I've actually unlocked this. I've actually technically unlocked both of these. So I have 120, I need 120 for the second quest. But since I haven't actually done the ransacked camp in this particular case, this one shows as locked. But I can get all the stability I need just by running the maps. So if I get a total of 250, I'll be able to unlock all 3 of these and do them all the same, you know, one after the other. So brain fart. So yeah, so that's all you're collecting stability for, is to unlock those quests. There are 3 per every timeline. So there's none that have 4 or 2. It's always 3. And like I said, you can get enough stability to run all 3 at the same time if you want to, or you can run them as you get them. Up to you. It's completely your choice. Generally, if you do all 3 together, though, you can actually drop some modifiers off of the boss and make it a little bit easier. So I usually do that personally. Quest echoes will usually provide you an option between 2 higher timelines. So I mentioned once you have completed this, you'll be able to move on to some of the higher timelines. So for example, in Fall of the Outcast, at the end, I will be given the option to either unlock the Stolen Lance or the Black Sun. I can always rerun this to unlock the one I didn't choose before. So you can unlock both from here. Do note that some of these don't give you the option on the 3rd quest. So for example, Ending the Storm currently gives it to you on the 2nd quest. That can be kind of confusing for players. Like, oh, I got my unlock quest, I'm good to go. And they try to go to whatever one they chose and they can't get there. It's because you haven't killed Lagan yet. You get the choice in the 2nd one, but you actually have to still do the 3rd quest before you can unlock that. So keep that in mind. How's it going, Kiowa? How you doing? Okay, you can unlock the one you didn't choose by returning the quests. After quests are complete, stability does reset, but the web does not. I do believe also, if you get over the amount you need here, I think this actually is maintained, but I haven't double checked that. I'm pretty sure it is though. But the rest of it will reset. But I've actually completed this one once, and you can see that I still have my web up. So my web is not reset by the quest echoes being completed. So if you want to continue on the web, but you also want to get your blessing, we'll talk about blessings in a minute, you can do that. You don't have to worry about just losing your web because you did that. Just grinding miles, trying to get to 100. Nice. We're actually doing an L University right now, so good timing. Okay, let's talk about corruption. So we just talked about stability. Corruption is another mechanic that is in the Monolith of Fate. And to get corruption, it's a much different system. Let me see if I can actually, I know this area is not going to actually it's going to take a long time to get to where you get corruption. Let's go to Reign of Dragons. So corruption is a way to make it more difficult, but also give you greater rewards for doing so. So it gives you a lot of control over how challenging you want the content to be. Oh, this one's actually been reset by a shade. For how challenging you want it to be, but also how rewarding you want it to be. And you do that through a new boss called the Shade of Orbis. And so somewhere on here, this one should have some, yeah. On your timeline in your web, you will find these. They just say Echo information on them, Echo of a World. When you go into these, you will actually fight the Shade of Orbis, who is the new boss, who is a challenging boss with a lot of skills. He has 30 total skills that can be in lots of different combinations, over 4,000 different combinations. So each fight is generally pretty unique. But if you kill this boss, you will gain corruption, which increases, it actually adds a modifier to the enemies for both health and damage is a more modifier, so it's multiplicative. And it will also give you certain rewards, increase your item rarity and your XP. That's on top of the ones that you get from your modifiers. I think if I did this one here, the 15 corruption would give me like 7% more health and damage on the enemies, but I think an equivalent amount of item rarity and XP. Now, there's a diminishing returns in this system, so if you get really high on it, you won't get as much difficulty rewards for the same amount of corruption, but you won't really see that until much later. That's not all that the corruption system does, or all of how it works. So it works differently for normal echoes compared to your empowered. So if you're in the normal timelines, which are where you'll start, you have to complete a certain amount of those before you can even do empowered, which is the more challenging version. You can only get up to 50 total corruption. You are capped at that point. But corruption will also add an increase in the area level to the enemies. I can't remember what the ratio is of corruption to area level. I think it might actually be per shade killed, something along those lines. But you can actually increase the level of the enemies. But you also can get all the other benefits, but only up to 50. You have to go to empowered versions, which we'll talk about in a minute, to go even higher. Empowered has no effective cap on corruption. It also doesn't give you the level increase because empowered already start at level 100. Empowered also starts with 100 corruption on it. So you'll start with 50% more damage and health on the enemies, but also 50% increased item rarity and XP. And then you can increase that further by killing more shades. You can also decrease your corruption with the shade. Once you've killed at least one, the ones that are closer to the center of your web, and the center is just where you started. This is technically the center, even though it's way out. It's just because I went in one direction. The closer you are to this, when a shade drops, the less corruption they give. After you reach a certain level of corruption, they'll actually start to give negative corruption. So you only want to interact with that if you're actually trying to decrease your corruption. Let's say you're finding it a little bit too difficult. This is a system that's a little... what's the word I want? It's not clear that it's going to work the way the devs will want it to. Because if you're trying to reduce your corruption because it's too difficult, fighting the most challenging thing in the web might not be the best way to do it. That might actually be damn near impossible for you to do if you somehow managed to screw yourself over so much that you made it so difficult. But most players aren't going to ever run into this problem anyway, because you're not going to be able to kill a shade to make it more difficult, since you have to do the most difficult content to actually increase the corruption, if that makes sense. Like, it's probably not going to brick your echo or your timeline, because you won't be able to defeat the shade once it becomes challenging enough. But that's how the system works. If you start seeing negative corruption on there, yes, it will actually drop your corruption. It's meant to give you a way to sort of manage the difficulty of your timeline. Okay. I think I covered everything on there. Yeah. So non-empowered, increased area level, more enemy damage and health, increased XP and loot find, cap to 50% corruption. So empowered gives you start out with 100 corruption with no cap. There is no area level increase. And you unlock empowered by completing the right side of the timeline tree. So this side, you have to complete all of these. That means you don't have to do these 3 if you don't want to. You can, you don't have to. This is what unlocks empowered. And empowered is that level 101. The other thing, by the way, the game is not very good at telling you this, but there's another benefit on empowered for increasing your corruption. It increases the rarity of the rewards inside of these echoes. So for example, there are exalted rewards. So you can randomly find, like, this is a rare body armor. There's a chance it could be an exalted body armor. And as you increase corruption, you increase the likelihood that that's actually an exalted body armor. So another big benefit to adding corruption, those exalted ones are really juicy. And there's other rare stuff as well that gets increased from this, but exalted is probably the one that most people are going to care about. So if you get to empowered monos and you're like, I want to get exalteds now, increase that corruption, because it's going to be like a double benefit, because it increases item rarity, but it also increases the likelihood that you're going to get the really, really good echo rewards. Well, that's actually all I've got. Okay, so we actually have to cover one other thing. I apparently didn't do a slide for something that was actually pretty important. So let's cover the special echoes. So these allow you to manipulate your web in certain ways. We'll start with the beacons. So let me see if I can find a beacon on here. I usually do the beacons like immediately, so it might be kind of hard to find one. They're probably gonna be farther up. You know, I think I've got some beacons on the one I'm working on, so let me jump over to that one. I am on Age of Winter. So what the beacons do is when you unlock, or when you finish an echo, it shows you the one in front of it. Like if I just finish this one, it shows you the one in front of it. Yes, this will be on my YouTube channel, Ghost Reaper. Tomorrow I'll upload it. And it also shows you the ones that whatever's next up, so that it goes two past. But if you do a beacon, which are these things here, it'll actually show you a much larger area. So you see I've done this one, but I haven't done anything on this side, but I can see this far out. That's all from the beacon. There's this beacon too, I haven't done it yet. If I did this one, it would show me a whole bunch out here too. So this one right here is just doing all of this. So beacon's a really good way to plan where you want to go next, because it will open up a whole lot more of the area. So just because I did this one beacon, I can see that there's an idle one here, there's a unique one here, there's rare helmets over here. All that would actually be covered up to me if I hadn't done the beacon. So I really like doing those. Now the beacons can be fairly challenging, because what you do is you go to an area on the map, you click on the beacon, it creates a like a yellow circle around an area, and void enemies start spawning extremely quickly. Very dangerous ones, like the ones that shoot out the big like void balls that come down and they hit really hard. I can't remember what they're called, but that stuff starts spawning really quickly. And what you have to do is you have to stand in the circle until it charges. Killing the enemies doesn't increase the charge rate at all. It's all about staying in the circle. If you leave the circle, it'll stop charging, so you have to be in the circle, and the circle's relatively small in comparison to how many enemies are in there. So these can be pretty challenging, but they are worth it. All this stuff, in fact, will be fairly challenging to do, which is intentional because it's so rewarding. So that's the beacon one. There's also the Vessels of Memory and the Vessels of Chaos. These do, actually, these are much harder to find in here. I don't know if I have one on this map at all. So I'll just cover, you'll see them on here and it'll say it's Vessel of Memory or Vessel of Chaos. What the Vessel of Memory does is it says, okay, you completed all these with the check marks, right? And you got those rewards. What if you want to do them again? What if you wanted the rewards again? The Vessel of Memory will turn all these back into uncompleted echoes. You can go back and get all the rewards from them. So like if you had a timeline or a web that was really juicy and you had like a bunch of really nice rewards, and you went and collected them all, and then you had a Vessel of Memory show up and you completed it, you can go back and get all those juicy rewards all over again. So that's really cool. And then the Vessel of Chaos does pretty much the opposite. What it says is, okay, you've got all these things out here that you didn't do, right? All these are not completed. Maybe that's for a reason. Maybe it's because they're not good enough for you. Maybe you're an elitist who needs much better rewards. What if I re-rolled all of those things so you could have another shot at those being really juicy rewards? You click the, you complete the Vessel of Chaos, and everything that you did not complete gets re-rolled. And so maybe some of these become, for example, exalted rewards. And so both those give you, along with the beacons, give you a really powerful way of interacting with your web and improving the loot, or even regaining the loot that you've already collected. So you run the beacons to open up a lot of the map. You collect all the juicy stuff, maybe. Then maybe you do the Echo of Chaos to re-roll the stuff you didn't do. You get some more juicy stuff. You collect all that stuff, and then hey, there's an Echo of or Vessel of Memory. You click on that, and you get all the juicy stuff all over again. This is how you can like really improve the value of your web. You're not sure why you're watching this, Fo? You need to know more than anybody. You need to know how this works. Spoilers. And we already covered the Shade of Orbis, so I think we're good on that one. I think that's everything. Yeah, that's how the new Monolith of Fate works. There's a lot of cool things in it now. There's a lot of ways to interact with it and sort of choose your own adventure and choose your own rewards. You get rewards off of the web, or whether you want to go for your blessings. Like your options now are much greater, and I think it's a really cool system. A lot more fun to interact with, and I hope you agree. Thank you so much for watching. should you need other assistance with other parts of Last Epoch, this is an ongoing series. This is actually, I think, the 11th in the series, and I'll be doing more in the future. So feel free to check those out. Also, I stream on Twitch 5 to 6 days a week. I'm actually recording this on Twitch as we speak, or as I speak, not as you speak. Would love to have you there as well. And I have a Discord. Also, feel free to ask questions in the comments on YouTube. Happy to answer them there as well. All right, thanks again for watching. I hope you have a great time in Last Epoch. Enjoy the Monolith of Fate as much as I do, and I'll see you all again real soon.